Hi everyone, it's Terri Pays. Welcome. We're going to focus our workshop today on reflexology, right? How do we enhance our oil experience, right? So I love to start with intention so that you have an expectation of what you're going to discover today. So we're going to share this main idea, right? That reflexology is a science. We're going to cover the body's many reflex points and how to enhance your experience and maximize the power of these amazing essential oils. Specifically, I hope that you leave with an understanding of what oils and where. So let's start with kind of like a history of reflexology, just to give you some background. Right? So modern reflexology is based on a very ancient form of therapy, right? There's some evidence of some form of foot and hand therapy being practiced in China as far ago as like 2330 BC, right? And at about the same time in Egypt, in some of the tombs of, I can't even pronounce the guy's name, Ankh-Mahor. The North American tribes of Indians are known to have practiced a form of foot therapy for hundreds of years. Now, there is some confusion about the true origin of this very powerful therapy. Suffice it to say that it has stood the test of time, right, and has helped thousands of people to better health. Now, this woman named Eunice Ingram mapped out the reflex points on the hands and the feet that correspond to all the organs, the glands, and the parts of the body. Her work was originally taught exclusively by the school that she founded, which is called the International Institute of Reflexology. It is this institute that is the only reflexology school that's licensed to teach the original Ingram method, right? It is the combined work of the late Eunice Ingram and her nephew, a gentleman named Dwight Byers, who is the leading authority on foot reflexology. And so we consider Eunice the mother of modern reflexology, right? She was born in South Dakota, right here in the United States. And, you know, reflexology was an ancient art. It was from China at the time, and it had been in the West for maybe about 20 years. But Eunice's method specifically identified zones on the feet, which was a new concept, right? And so she wrote a book called Stories the Feet Can Tell through Reflexology, and a follow-up book, Stories the Feet Have Told through Reflexology. So I love this quote, okay? So it's like, if you're feeling out of kilter, you don't know why or what about, let your feet reveal the answers, find the sore spot, work it out, right? And so let the feet reveal your answer, right? Like, so as you're working on your foot, if there's a spot that kind of tweaks a little bit or maybe has a little bit of discomfort as you're working that part of the foot, go back and look and see, you know, what is that associated with? You'll be amazed at how closely it is. It is almost predictive. Okay, so, but let's actually deep dive into exactly what is reflexology, right? It's a science. It deals with reflex areas of the hands and the feet, which correspond to the glands and organs and parts of the body. When we stimulate these reflexes properly, it can help different health problems in a very natural way. It's a type of like preventive maintenance. It has, it's very different. It shouldn't be considered massage, right? It has this very serious advance in the health field. Now, I looked up the dictionary definition, right, of reflex is an involuntary or instinctive movement in response to a stimulus, right? In the sense of, you know, a reflection or a mirror image. right? The reflexes on our feet and our hand act as mirror images on our body, right? And so the body is imprinted on the hands and the feet, right? You know, like if you have a toothache, right, you could squeeze your toe, right? There was, this is a quote from the book called Zone Therapy by William Fitzgerald. 6 years ago, I accidentally discovered that pressure with a cotton tip probe on the mucocutaneous margin of the nose gave an anesthetic result, as though a cocaine solution had been applied, right? He goes on to say that he found that there were many spots in the nose, the mouth, the throat, and on both surfaces of the tongue, which when you press it firmly, deadened definite areas of sensation, right? And that when we exert the pressure over bony eminence of the hands, feet, or on the joints, it had like the same characteristic result in relieving pain, right? And so this led to his work in mapping out these areas and their association with some of the zone therapy. So let's talk a little bit more, right? So Dr. Ingram, she extended the work of Dr. Fitzgerald, right? Like she extended the map, right, by moving it to all the organs and the glands of the body. She was truly a pioneer. And, you know, she was determined to help people, to help themselves, right? She worked with doctors in her early years to prove her findings and to demonstrate them that reflexology could be used as a diagnostic tool, right? A very reliable diagnostic tool. And so what did she discover? So let's dive into some of the body's reflex points. So exactly where are they? Right, so we have the ancient art of reflexology combined with zone therapy, right? So this is one of the gifts that Eunice brought into reflexology. So zone therapy was used as far back as like the 1500s. The American president, James Garfield, was said to apply pressure to his feet to relieve some of his pain. During the 16th century, a number of books were published on zone therapy. And, you know, so like we've been advancing this science more and more along the years. So, you know, there are many different, like if you Google reflexology charts, there's so many out there, right? But make sure that you're using one that is used by the school that Eunice Ingram created, right? Because it's the one that has the science backing. We have also on our hand, right, some of the reflex points. And so, you know, imagine the work of painstakingly figuring out, you know, where each reflex point is mapped to an organ or a system. We also have, so besides the hands and the feet, we also have reflex points on our ears. Isn't that the coolest, right? I had some back pain, and so I went to an acupuncturist, and he put like a little poppy seed like thing on my ear. And, you know, in order to get me to my next appointment, he said, you know, just manipulate the little seed that I'm going to affix to your ear. And it did take away my pain. It was just amazing how, you know, it was so helpful for exactly where my pain was. One of the other places, right, was alluded to in Dr. Fitzgerald's work is that the tongue has reflex points, right? We also know that the face gives us clues to some of the organs and systems, right? Even inside the lips, you can identify, you know, areas of the body that may need your help, right? We have a lot of different ways of kind of looking at each of the vertebrae of the spine and, you know, what are the organs and systems that are kind of in that region, right? And so we have many different reflexology charts that we can use to help us maximize how and where to put our essential oils. And so I wanted to have just a quick conversation about the Doterra difference, right? The products, their purity, the transparency of their testing, the education and science that they do, and their sourcing model, right? It has created certified pure therapeutic grade, right? And what's really key is that, you know, Doterra is a science company, right? They work with growers and distillers, right? They bring information to these artisans to help them do what they know how to do better, right? So that it improves the chemistry of the essential oil, right? They will not cut corners. They do not, you know, add things to extend the oils, right? They'll never add less expensive ingredients just to stretch out their profits. Doterra is uncompromisingly selective in this process because it's built on science. They have rigorous essential oil testing. I think up to 56 different tests to prevent or detect any kind of adulteration, right? There's just amazing breakthroughs in the sourcing model that they use. And that in turn helps us, you know, learn a little bit more about the chemistry of a particular oil and how we can use it, right? And so, you know, as they are celebrating their 12 years of sourcing essential oils, they're unmatched industry leader, right? It's because they really do pay attention to where does that oil come from, right? It's not about buying these, you know, large plots and mass producing oils, right? They value expert knowledge of local small family farmers, and they recruit that expertise into a global botanical network. They value the partnership with these individuals. And what I love about Doterra, right, this is not just about the purity of the products and their dedication to testing and making sure that we know exactly what's in that bottle, but you know, they improve the individual, the social, the economic, and the environmental well-being of the community from where they source their oils, right? They produce the highest quality oil and help the most people, right? We vote with our dollars. And so if you could find another essential oil that matched the quality of Doterra's, which I don't think you can, but if you could, even if it was equal, I would still buy it from Doterra because I like what they do with their sourcing, right? We're demanding a whole new way of using essential oils, and you know, we're changing the ecological footprint of the world by demanding these products, right? More and more farmland is being dedicated to non-GMO plants without synthetics, without pesticides, right? Groundwater is being restored to its natural fertility. Just amazing what they're doing. Okay, so as we move, we're gonna talk a little bit about essential oils and how we enhance their effect on the body through reflexology. So is there any special equipment needed? Like, no, we use our hands, right? There are some other gadgets, you know, there's, you know, different, like, I've seen like kind of wands almost that will, you can use, but I prefer my fingers. I want to feel the skin underneath the tissue. I want to feel it with my fingers. And so, you know, whatever essential oil that you want is really about, well, what's your goal, right? Like, do you want digestive health? Do you have some pain? Do you want to sleep better? Perhaps you know, have a sweet tooth craving. Maybe you want to boost your immune function, right? And so we are going to just use an essential oil that is key to whatever system or function we're looking to support. So can reflexology make a condition worse? Well, no, it will not make the condition any more acute, right? Reflexology helps to normalize body functions. It helps to improve nerve and blood supply. It can relax stress that affects your health. And so it's a very safe and effective way to improve your health. Now, with everything, there's always some kind of guidelines that we should all practice, right? And so if you have some serious health conditions, absolutely, you should be checking in with your doctor and making sure that it's safe to do what you want to do, whether it's using essential oils or using reflexology or, you know, like doing exercise, like, you know, you should always be in collaboration with your doctor. And, you know, reflexology is not a cure, right? If you have some kind of chronic condition, reflexology is not meant to be a cure for it, right? Think of reflexology as a means to help ease the body's expression of that symptom, right? And when we're using essential oils, we're giving information and knowledge to the cell, right? Because it's that individual cell that is doing all of the healing, it's doing all of the curing, right? Like the tools that we use and, you know, the way we apply oils are just that, methods, right? But it's your beautiful cells inside your body that are actually doing all the work. Okay, so what I wanted to do was provide you with a couple of examples of how we can use essential oils for very common issues. And so my first one was respiratory conditions, right? And so I have a book by Dr. Stanley Burroughs. It's called Healing for the Age of Enlightenment. And he mapped out certain ways of how you would trace your essential oils, right? Starting with the kidney reflex, then you move to the bunion, working like, so if you start here, right? So you start on the kidney, you kind of move on the outside of that bunion all the way up to the top of the head, right? Right, and then we kind of like work inside here, your sinuses, kind of the reflex points are underneath your toes, right? So we're going to press oils. Which oils would you use for respiratory support? Well, here's some of my favorites, right? So we have Breathe, we have, I love rosemary and thyme. Black pepper is really good for cellular health and for metabolic support, you know, and it's also good as a, you know, protection against environmental threats. So it's a really good choice. But, you know, find the one that really works for you, right? There's so many different essential oils, right? But just make sure that you're paying attention, right? You have the bronchial tubes, right? The pituitary, right? And so you have all these things. Your lungs are kind of that big pad that's right here, right? So you have the sinuses here and the lungs here, right? And so, you know, with a little bit of knowledge, you can actually apply oils very specifically on the feet to help maximize the benefit, to help open our airways and support respiratory function. Okay, so what else is another really common thing? So, you know, people are always asking me about how to normalize or maintain good blood pressure, right? And so we have both systolic and diastolic. So if you look here, right, so the heart reflex in the left foot slows the heart and it helps it beat stronger, right? So the reflex in your left hand, right, an arm above your elbow beats regular, right? And so you're going to alternate your hand and your arm, right? Hand and your arm, hand and your arm, right? And, you know, it's just amazing how, you know, just by, see up here, the heart, left side only, right? And so the heart is here again on underneath the arm, right? So we have these reflex points all over our body that help us with different things, right? And so when we're looking at the diastolic pressure, right, we want to focus on the kidney, on the adrenal, and on the rectum, right? And so, you know, the kidneys are right here. So like in the top of the arch, right? Like so on the bottom of the foot, but at the top of the arch, right? And so the rectum is a point that's on the back of the head. Believe that or not. I thought that was hysterical when I saw that. It's also on the bones behind the ankle, right? And so these are some great places where you could just target heart health by, you know, having a little bit of knowledge about where to put your favorite essential oils. So what are my favorites? Well, I absolutely love using, you know, fennel, clove, petitgrain. A lang lang is just so great. You know, think of a lang lang as an oil that helps restore childlike joy. And so perhaps our elevated blood pressure is related to the fact that, you know, we just take things way too seriously. That maybe if we could look at life through the eyes of a child, through the eyes of gratitude, everything would just kind of like relax. And so, you know, do a little emotional work there in combination. Okay, so, you know, there's a lot of data about like how would you use essential oils on the ear, right? So sometimes, you know, I'll just kind of like on the lobes, just like apply the oils to both my finger and my thumb and just roll it. Oh God, it's, even without the oil, it's amazing. I think I'm gonna grab an oil. That felt really good. I invite you guys to try it. If you have oils at your fingertips, I want you to just put oils at your fingers and just kind of like roll the tissue of your ears and kind of move up, right? And go up the ear. And don't forget, always, always, always breathe in your beautiful essential oils. Now there's another zone therapy we do as part of the Aroma Touch technique, right? We are using some of the principles of zone therapy and pinpoint activation inside the Aroma Touch technique. And so if you're not yet certified or you have not yet experienced an Aroma Touch, then, you know, get in touch with me or somebody who is certified to give you one, because it is an amazing experience of how we balance the autonomic nervous system and return our body to homeostasis. Now, I get a lot of questions about children. And so the one thing that I want to enhance for you is, you know, if you look at your hand compared to a child's hand, right, you're going to use much, like that proportion, right? So, you know, 1/3 or 1/4 of what you would use for yourself, you would use for, you know, a young child. They have, you know, global points, right? You could get specific, but you could just kind of globally address, like, you know, is it their chest? Is it their digestive tract, right? Your digestive tract kind of runs like a C, like on your foot and on your hand, right? And so you could just kind of trace on the hand of a child, right? Or on the foot, whichever they are willing to give you, right? Don't force them. But you can use any of them. And we have some of the oils that are pre-diluted roller bottles that are safe for children. And so I invite you to get connected with some of those. Okay, so, you know, what oils where? It's about you starting, right? Start where Eunice started, right? She spent so many hours just probing her own feet. Like when you climb into bed, or when you're first waking up and you're ready to apply some oils on the bottom of your feet, I invite you to be a little bit more intentional, right? Rather than just put the oil on and just rub it in and go, right? Spend 2 or 3 minutes and literally like look at the chart, which, you know, if you put your name in the chat, I will send you a link so that you can download some of these charts that are in this presentation, or just, you know, get connected with me, simply.natural@optimum.net, and I will send them to you. But, you know, be intentional, right? And have good thoughts as you're doing this, right? Like kind of wrap the whole thing up together, right? And so, you know, with a very little bit of knowledge, we can target and maximize what systems that we want to support, right? You could just put them on and they figure out where to go and what to do. But I love that, you know, when we have just this little bit more, we can enhance how an essential oil helps our body. And so I thank you so much for joining me. If you are someone who doesn't really have essential oils at your fingertips, particularly not doTERRA, right? I invite you to fill out this little contact me form, and I'll send you some samples, right? You just give me, you know, name, email, or phone number, and we'll get connected. Or you can just text me or email me. I'm on social media, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. You can check out my Vimeo channel with lots of other topics, like some of the classes that we have coming up. Right, next Monday night, we're going to be doing essential oils and how they support therapeutic outcomes. And next Tuesday at this time, we're going to be focusing on essential oils for brain health. Right. I also do an intro to essential oils class every single month, and it helps to kind of create a foundation of what is an essential oil exactly, how would I use them, what are the safe ways for me to use them, and what are like the most common oils that you use for the most common health experiences. And so the Got Oils Now What is this week, and the 3 cool things about oils is next week. And so I hope you join me for them. They're a lot of fun, and I invite you to get connected.